It's not unusual for organizations to take 6 to 12 months and sometimes longer to understand how to effect significant improvements using flow metrics. I'm going to share with you an example from a group who figured it out pretty quickly, like less than 60 days, and they did it by analyzing their bottlenecks. The first thing this group looked at to better understand their workflow was blocked work. So work that was sitting in a wait state or work that was sitting idle in an active state. Sometimes work sits idle in states that are intended to represent active work in progress. What they discovered was that they had a lot of security type of stories that were getting blocked, waiting on security scans, which were run by a different team. And sorting all the work items by the highest duration revealed the states where work was sitting the longest. And these also turned out to be the states that had the highest artifact count. And when you look at a scatter plot, these two states appear in the topmost, rightmost position of a scatter plot. When work arrives in this part of the value stream, it sits in a definition state, and then it sits in this blocked state, waiting on security scans. So what they did was they talked with the other team running the scans to see if they could run their reports prior to the team pulling that work into their iterations. And instead of starting work on a story and then waiting for 4 days on the security report, the report is hopefully going to be made available to them at the beginning of the iteration. And that should allow developers from the get-go to study those vulnerabilities and resolve them faster, instead of starting development work and then stopping and waiting 4 or 5 days later to get back into it. So these security items here in this flow time chart were supposed to be completed in the iteration ending on February 21st there, but they weren't. So they needed to be rolled over into the next iteration where they took 12 to 14 days to complete. Now, this is the thing about knowledge work. Knowledge work is perishable. The longer we wait on information in order to finish our thought process and finish that task, the higher the probability of forgetting those details and having to start all over again. And that's not fun. It turns out that there are multiple teams who can run these scans, and they're in the process of trying to figure out the best team to do that, who has the most capacity to work on it as soon as possible so that those security ports are available for multiple teams when they're needed in a shared space that's convenient for everyone to access. They expect this process change to reduce flow time and increase their throughput, and not just for their group, but for multiple teams and trains. And now that they've captured duration and flow time for iterations prior to the process change, they're going to be able to easily compare it with those metrics in future iterations. Stay tuned.